Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney and today we are talking about interfacing, about different types of interfacing, when to use it, how to use it. I'm going to show you how to fuse. If it's something that you've never used before, we're just talking all things garment interfacings. So that is what we're kind of discussing today. But before we get into that, today is Friday. So just as a quick reminder, we do have a Love Notions Feature Friday pattern. And this is a new one. This one has never been featured as a Feature Friday. It is the tailgate sweatshirt and hoodie. So while the pattern is actually in the men's catalog, it's actually a gender-neutral, unisex, oversized sweatshirt and or hoodie, which is very much in right now. I feel like it's I don't know if it's like a Taylor Swift thing or what, but like, honestly, everyone up at my kids' high school, my daughter, not so much, but all the other females up at my kids' high school, it's an oversized sweatshirt with leggings and Uggs, the Ugg slip-on shoes. With crew socks pulled up over the leggings. Anyway, very much an in thing, and it is $5 today only. You can use my code 10TKStitchery for an additional 10% off that price. Again, this is the first time this one's been offered as a Feature Friday, so it's a great time to buy it if you're looking for an oversized sweatshirt pattern. Another thing, if you're on Instagram, another real, tutorial or whatever that's been going around like crazy is the cute little bows that people are like sewing to the side seams. And then it'd be great with a thrifted sweatshirt, but basically people are like cutting up the side seam a little bit and then it's stopped with like a bow that you've sewn in place. It's really cute. I mean, if you're on Instagram for any length of time, I'm sure you've seen it. And quite a few of the sewing community have been recreating it. It's pretty cute. In fact, I think Jenny wants to recreate that. But anyway, the tailgate would be a great, if you wanted to make your own sweatshirt to then apply this technique, the tailgate would be a really good one for that. Okay, let's talk about interfacing. So, oh gosh, my days are all running together. I don't think it was last week, maybe the week before. I did a video on 5 ways to make your 5 things to help, I can't remember the title, 5 things to help your sewing not look homemade, but to make it look handmade. 5 tips, and had a great response on that video and some requests that I go a little bit deeper into those 5 tips. So I'm like, this could be kind of a fun series. I can just sprinkle them out, around throughout the next few months or whatever, and kind of dive a little bit deeper into each of those 5 tips. So today we're going to talk about interfacing. I get so many questions about interfacing because I feel like in the world of sewing, well, period, not even just garment sewing, but in the world of sewing, there's so many interfacing options out there, whether you're at the store or shopping online. It can be very overwhelming. You don't know what you need for a project, and it really can make or break a project. Using crappy interfacing, or I shouldn't say crappy, using a interfacing that is not appropriate for your project can make or break a project, really. And that was one of my tips, that using quality apparel interfacing, fusible interfacings, makes a huge difference in the way that your final garment will look. So today I'm going to talk about 3 different categories. Well, I guess kind of 4. I typically keep 2 of these categories in my stash at all times. I never run out of it type of situation. And then the other 2 I do have in my stash, but they're more for specific, I don't use them as much, so they're more like for specific projects. So we're going to be going through and some different options for you as well. So I used to be that I would, like up until recently, always suggest either Palmer Pletch interfacing, which I still do, or Fashion Sewing Supply interfacing. Unfortunately, and I don't know what's happening with that company, it's a husband and wife business, and I'm pretty sure they milled even their own interfacing. They've been around since like 2010, maybe 2011, something like that. And wonderful interfacings, but the husband, he passed away this summer, and I think unexpectedly. I don't know the backstory, but they have completely, the website's still up, but it has nothing on it. She had posted a little message maybe in July, kind of saying, her, husband, a nice little tribute to him, but he had passed away. So the store was shutting down temporarily. But there were still products up. They just weren't, you just couldn't buy anything. Now the website is completely, there's nothing on it. So I don't know what's happening there. I don't know if, I mean, I hope even if she decides she doesn't want to continue doing it, that someone else buys it maybe, because they really did have really great interfacing. So unfortunately, I can't suggest them anymore. And I still have quite a few of their interfacing in my stash from the last time I ordered from them, which was probably at the beginning of the summer, like maybe May. So I am still using the stuff that I got from them. But another thing that has happened since about that time frame is that Jenny and I were at H&H Americas, which is a business-to-business trade show for the craft industry. And we were talking with ThermaWeb, which does, oh my gosh, they do so many things. They do fusible stay tapes. They do interfacings. They do some really cool products like some vinyl stuff and some all sorts of really, like some really cool stuff, like just not just for garment sewing, but for like crafting and quilting and all that kind of jazz. And we were talking with them and they very kindly sent us a gigantic box, basically full of their entire catalog, like little pieces of all of their interfacings, packages of like their hem tapes and stuff. They've got, yeah, some spray adhesive that's like a temporary glue, like for quilters to baste layers together. A fabric stiffener that I have used, all sorts of stuff. So I'll be talking a little bit more about it because I've been like slowly working my way through and trying these products so I can recommend. And I'm very happy to say they don't have a ton. In fact, when you go to their website and you look under apparel interfacings, like you select apparel, a lot of non-woven options pop up. But then if you go to interfacings and choose like woven or weft or tricot, a lot more things pop up, and that's what I would use for apparel. I do not use the non-woven interfacings for my apparel. So while I kind of disagree with the website a little bit, the products I'm going to share with you, I've been very happy with using. And I feel like they gave me, 2 yards of each of these. And so I've used them in a few different projects. In fact, one I've completely used. I'm going to need to order some more. But anyway, I'm very excited to talk you through what I've tried from them, and I've really, really enjoyed it. All right, so let's start off with the lightest. So lightweight interfacing. Let's start at fusible versus sew-in. I prefer fusible interfacings. I know that a lot of like maybe more couture or more traditionalists in the sewing world hate fusible interfacings. I think they've come a long way over the years. And I also agree that there are unsuitable fusible interfacings that are out there that can really wreck a project. But sew-in interfacings are, what is interfacing? Interfacing is basically another layer that you're putting behind your fashion fabric or your main fabric to give it more stability, to make it, basically to give it more stability. So whether that's a support for buttonholes, or it's to make a collar crisp, or make a collar stand up, or make a crisper cuff on a shirt, or support the front of a coat or jacket or a hem, any area like that, finish off a facing on a neckline. That is what interfacing does. It just gives an extra layer of stability for that fabric around there. And the idea is that when you're using interfacings, you want it to be as close to your fashion fabric as possible so that it's not completely obvious that there is a layer there to stabilize it. So for instance, if you're using a very drapey fabric and the nature of your outfit is drapey, you don't want to use a really stiff, thicker interfacing that takes away that drape from the fabric. The idea is for the interfacing to complement the fashion fabric, not to fight against it, unless maybe you're going for that for some reason. That might be a design choice. But for the most part, you want your interfacing to match your fashion fabric so that your fashion fabric still contains the characteristics that made you want to use it for your project. Hopefully that makes sense. So sew-in interfacings, a lot of people will use silk organza if you're wanting something to give a little bit of body or structure to an area. That's a great sew-in interfacing. And when I say sew-in, that usually means you are just putting it behind, you're cutting out the same pattern piece out of your sew-in interfacing, and you're just basting it to the back of your fashion fabric, usually within the seam allowance, in order to give it that stability. I just don't use that very often. It's just not my preference, but I know a lot of people really do like it. I prefer a good fusible. And when you're using a good fusible and applying it properly, I think that it really is amazing. And we will talk a little bit here at the end on do's and don'ts of using fusible interfacing. And then I'm going to do a little tutorial and show you, if you've never used fusible interfacing, how to apply it. Okay. Or how to generally apply it. We'll get into that at the end. All right, lightweight interfacings. What would I use lightweight fusible interfacings for? These would be interfacings that I am using most likely with rayon, or viscose, like a challis or a crepe. So this may be a blouse where I am interfacing the facing for the blouse, like a woven t-shirt or something. Or it could be a button-up shirt that I'm making out of a rayon, or even a silk crepe de chine, and I need to stabilize the button band and the collar and the cuffs. That is when I use the lightweight interfacing. And this is one that I keep in my stash at all times. So my two favorites on this are the Palmer Pletch Perfect Fuse Sheer. All of these come in a white or a black. I have mostly white in my stash, although when I'm working with darker fabrics, you should really use black. Because sometimes if your weave on your fabric is just loose enough, you can kind of see, if I'm sewing with a dark teal, I don't know, rayon crepe, let's say, and it's just a little bit looser weave, and I've used white behind it. Sometimes in the right light, you can almost see the white behind there, whereas black, you can't tell that there's anything fused to the back there. So it is important to have both colors in your stash. And mostly I keep both white and black in a sheer in my stash. And then the second category, I also keep a white and a black in my stash at all times. So the Palmer Pletch Perfect Fuse Sheer is one of them. And then the second one is, and this is a new one that I've used. I think I still have some of this one. It is the Heat and Bond. This is the ThermaWeb product. This is the Tricot Fusible Medium. They also have a sheer, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. I like the medium. This is a Tricot, which means it does have some stretch. So if you pull it this way, it does have a little bit of give and stretch, which isn't necessarily what you want for interfacing. Sometimes, well, it depends. If you're sewing with a knit, sometimes you don't want that stretch, so you'll maybe fuse it. It does zero stretch going with the grain there, and some stretch cross grain. So it's kind of up to you. But if you're sewing with a woven fabric, it doesn't have stretch anyway, so you don't need to worry that your interfacing has a little bit of stretch. The reason I like the Tricot is that it's very malleable. So it, because it has a little bit of that stretch, it's like something being on the bias. It just really fits well behind the fabric, the drapier, looser fabrics. So like your silk crepe de chines, your rayon, your viscoses, that sort of thing. I would even use this on cotton lawn. So if I were doing a cotton lawn button-up shirt, I would use this for the collar and cuffs and stuff like that. If I were using like a poplin, like something, or like a Oxford cloth or something like that, heavier shirting weight, I would probably use maybe the medium weight that we'll talk about here in a second. But for anything lighter weight, for my button-up shirts, this is what I would use. It's really delightful and it fuses really well. Okay, the next category is medium weight. So this is the second one that I keep in my stash, both in a black and a white. I use this for my waistbands on trousers. I use this for, I don't know if I'm doing like more of a lighter weight jacket, I will use it on those sorts of things. Like I said, if I'm using a heavier weight cotton, like maybe a cotton poplin or a cotton broadcloth or Oxford cloth, something like that, where I'm making more of a men's style button-up shirt, something with a little bit more structure, I would very likely use this in the collar, a collar stand, and cuffs as well, button placket, that sort of thing. I don't put interfacing, and when I'm making jeans, the only area that I interface in my jeans is the fly front. I don't put any interfacing in the waistband of my jeans because ready-to-wear doesn't either. I've taken apart many a pair of ready-to-wear jeans and there's not interfacing other than right behind the button and buttonhole. So for that, I would use this same weight of interfacing behind the button and buttonhole on maybe a pair of jeans, that sort of thing. So that's kind of what medium weight I would use. And honestly, a lot of times it's just going into waistbands for me. So my two picks for this are the Palmer Pletch Perfect Fuse Medium. Again, it comes in white or black. Or the Heat and Bond, and this is the one I've run out of. the Heat and Bond Woven Fusible Soft. I've run out of this. I just used it. I'm filming my beginner sewing class, and I just used this, finished using this up. But I used this on my a Vivi dress, shirt dress, which technically it was a wool challis, which I think maybe I could have gotten away with using like the lighter weight interfacing for like the collar and the facing and cuffs and that sort of thing. But I wanted it to be a little bit more structured because I just wanted that for that look. So that's honestly where most of this went. But it is absolutely lovely. And again, if I were making, I think off the top of my head, my Liesl & Co. classic white button-up shirt or cream button-up shirt that I ruined with marinara sauce back in April. But I had used a shirting from Style Maker Fabrics, and I can't remember now what it was called. Like maybe just poplin shirting. It comes in a whole bunch of solid colors. I made my daughter a white one in the same fabric. So it's just a little bit thicker weight, a little bit more like you would think of a men's, like a men's shirt. And I would use something like this in the collar stand, cuffs, button placket on a shirt like that. So absolutely, it's lovely. Like I said, I've used that up completely. All right, heavy. This I don't keep in my stash as much. This is one that kind of seasonal. So if I'm coming into, in fact, I probably need to some more, because as we're coming into colder months and I'm getting into maybe some coat making. So if you're doing like jackets, coats, blazers, that sort of thing, this is when you want to get into. This is more the tailoring weight and a little bit heavier. So Palmer Pletch has a perfect fuse tailor weight that would be really good for this. Or the Heat and Bond, this is their weft. I'll open it up for you. Their weft interfacing. And that's kind of what it looks like. It looks like you just kind of have the weft threads that are in there. You don't have the woven or the warp. I had to think of the word. Anyway, this stuff is lovely. It's really soft on one side, but this is really great for tailoring. Again, like for the fronts of blazers, coats. So if I were doing like a wool coat, which I really want to make that new Closet Core Patterns BB coat, this is the stuff that I will use to do the interfacing for that. When you get into blazers and that sort of thing, when you're doing a lot of tailoring, and you can do a ton of tailoring with fusible interfacings, you get into a few more specific things, such as, especially with blazers, or like a very tailored coat. And I wouldn't call the Phoebe necessarily a super tailored coat, because it's kind of got a drop shoulder. Like you are going to need interfacings, but it's not like making the Jessica blazer, for instance. You are going to get into stuff like a horsehair canvas that is actually a sew-in type interfacing, because you need that support there at the top of the chest for the shoulder area. And a lot of times, like with the Jessica, I know not only do you use interfacing like this, like a weft, but you also use a knit interfacing, which is really just like the tricot, a little bit lighter weight for other areas of the coat where you need some stability, but not the hefty duty of the tailoring interfacing as well. If you are doing a project like that, and you're, maybe just want to try it, you don't know if you're going to get into tailoring, I would highly recommend purchasing a kit. Closet Core Patterns has a tailoring kit that is perfect for their Jessica blazer, for instance. But if you're doing a tailored coat that's, sits right at the top of the shoulders, where it's going to have the shoulder pads and the sleeve heads, and it's got a notched lapel and, all those things very reminiscent of a blazer, it's just maybe a coat, I would highly recommend looking into one of those kits. It's just a way that you don't need everything, so you don't need to buy lots of all the little things. You can just buy one kit, and then you've got everything right there. It's got twill tape to do like your roll line on the inside, all that kind of stuff. So I would recommend that, and I'll link it down below. I've purchased their tailoring kit basically anytime I've made a blazer, because it's just easier to purchase it that way. So just a little heads up. Okay. And then finally, I've got a category of some other interfacings that I will keep. When I was in Puyallup, Washington for the Sewing Expo, there was a stand there. It's the Professional Sewing Supply gal was there, and she has this. It's called Extra Fine interfacing, and it is very fine. It is almost like a silk chiffon, but it's poly with a little layer of glue on the outside, on the back. And she recommended like it's great for real delicate silk fabric. So this is what I used on, what have I made recently with silk? Since then, I'm trying to think. Like I know I've said I didn't. Well, I guess yeah, I used it on my precious fabric shirt because I put it on the cuffs. Um, I don't know. I can't now think what else I've used this on. I haven't used it a ton, but there's something else silk that I've made. Anyway, I've used it a few times and it is absolutely beautiful. And I can't remember now what the other garment was that I made up with silk because there goes my brain. Anyway, this stuff, it is very expensive, but if you're making like a silk blouse, like a button-up shirt or a dress or something like that, I would highly recommend this interfacing. It's absolutely lovely. Also, Heat and Bond. Now, I've not used this one yet. Do I have it? It is the, I don't have it in my lap here. I don't have it in my lap. But Heat and Bond also has a sheer tricot. And it's not as light as this stuff, as the professional sewing supply stuff, but it's pretty darn light. And I would use that on like a really delicate area. Like, I don't know, if I were making a, like maybe with silk, like if I didn't want to spend the money with the really fancy interfacing, I think that the sheer tricot would be really lovely with silk fabric as well. It would keep its drape. It would do everything that you want it to do while still stabilizing the areas that you need to stabilize. So again, like a blouse with a button-up band or something like that. So anyway, highly recommend all of those. And then let's see what else. I'm looking at my list here. And then again, yeah, the Closet Core tailoring kit is really great if you're wanting to use that. Okay. Real quick before I go show you how to fuse interfacing. When a big complaint about fusibles is that they bubble after they've been washed, which does happen. This happens for a couple of reasons. Number one, some interfacings actually have to be shrunk before they are applied. Now, there's a whole rigmarole where you can like kind of wash them in warm water because they've got glue on the back. You can't wash and dry them because the glue will melt. So just like hand washing them in warm water and then letting them dry. Honestly, what I do is if it is a interfacing that needs to be shrunk a little bit, is I will cut my piece, let's say it's a collar, I will cut my interfacing a little bit bigger than the actual pattern, and I will hover, so I'll lay it on the back of the fabric and hover with steam, and if it shrinks up a little bit, then you know it needs that steam to do that, and after it's shrunken up a little bit, that's then when I will actually set my iron down and fuse it. So, and then if there's excess around the edge, then I just go back and trim the interfacing away from the edge of the fabric. So that's kind of a cheat way to do it, but then that will ensure that you're not getting those bubbles. The second reason that those little bubbles happen is that they have not been fused properly. You really need to read the directions on it comes with your interfacing. So some of them have you using a dry iron. Some you can steam a little bit and then don't steam while you're actually pressing it down, just maybe hover and steam, and then you want it down. Some of them want that dry iron, but they will also tell you, you need to hold it for, sometimes it's like 20 seconds, which can seem like a long time, especially if you're doing like a huge facing, like, or the front of a blazer or something where you're having to interface the whole piece and you're just like, oh my gosh, takes forever. Put on a movie. But that a lot of times can be why you just haven't fused it properly because you've gotten impatient. So that's very important to make sure that you're fusing it properly. And then again, just using good brands. Sometimes the big box stores sell stuff that isn't as good. So that's something to keep in mind. I also have had, and I don't know that this is a for certain thing, but I have used interfacing that came from my mentor Joyce's stash that I think was old. And I think that sometimes the glue does, like if it's been in a stash for a really long time, I do think the glue goes bad after a while, and then it's just not fusing as well anymore. So, I mean, I have no idea how long this stuff was in her stash. It could have been in her stash for, 20 years. So I really don't know. But just keeping that in mind, that maybe if it's been in your stash for over 5, 6 years, maybe it's time to replenish. I don't know. Something to keep in mind. But that is how you avoid getting those bubbles so that you don't, so that things stay smooth after they've been laundered. Okay, let's go over to the pressing station and I will show you how I fuse my fusible interfacing onto something like the back of a facing. All right, so here I have my neckline facing that is cut out, this pattern piece that's cut out in fabric. And then I've got the same piece cut out in the interfacing. And what I'm going to want to do is I've got the wrong side of my pattern piece facing up. And then I'm going to put my interfacing with the glue side down. This is very important. If you don't do it this way, you're going to accidentally glue your interfacing to the underside of your iron. And while it doesn't ruin the iron, it comes close and it is a mess to clean. So once we have that laid on top of each other against the glue of the interfacing is down against the wrong side of the fabric, we can take what is called a press cloth. Now, this is 100% silk organza that I've got, which seems a little bit unnecessary maybe, but I like it because I can see through it. You do not want to use anything polyester. So you're either for your press cloth going to want to use silk organza. You don't need a huge piece. It comes very handy though for pressing. Or you're going to want a piece of like cotton muslin. So something thin, you just can't see through the cotton muslin. So either or, you just want a layer between you and your interfacing, and this will ensure that you don't have anything seeping through. So now we're just going to take our hot iron, and I'm just going to lay it down on top. Most interfacing comes with instructions that are going to tell you exactly how long to sit and hold your iron. We are not going back and forth. We're not doing an ironing motion. We are just picking it up and setting it back down in various areas. We want to cover the whole entire piece because we want to make sure that that interfacing gets completely fused to the back of our fabric. Once we have pressed the entire interfacing down to the wrong side of our fabric, I like to then, so it's fused real nice, go to the right side of my facing without a press cloth and just give it a good press from the right side too, just to make sure that that glue is nice and fused. We do not want anything coming up in the wash or any other time. So now just giving it a good press from the right side. And there we go. We have fused our interfacing to the back of our fabric and they have now become one piece. So that is how we fuse fusible interfacing to the back of our pattern pieces. Okay, there you have it. That is kind of a crash course in interfacing. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just keep a few in there. And once you find a brand that you really like, that you're able to get a hold of easily, stock that, and then you don't have to worry about things not working out correctly. That is it for today. If you have got any questions, please leave them down below. I love to answer sewing questions. I hope you're having a good Friday. I hope you get some sewing in this weekend. I'm not going to be able to get sewing in this weekend, which is very sad, but when I get back, I have to leave town this weekend. But when I am back, I've got lots of sewing that I want to get done. So here's my to hoping that you all are able to get behind your sewing machines, even if it's just for a little bit this weekend. And I will see you guys again on Tuesday. Have a good weekend.